At the close of the Second World War, the victorious Allied forces did not only uncover the ruins of cities reduced to ashes. Beneath the soil of Germany, Austria, and occupied territories, they discovered something far more unsettling. Vast, unfinished underground worlds stretching for kilometers, carved into mountains, forests, and city foundations. These were not improvised shelters. They were parts of an enormous subterranean vision, one born from paranoia, technological ambition, and the belief that the Third Reich could survive even if the surface world collapsed. Some of these tunnel systems were so secretive that even Adolf Hitler himself was allegedly unaware of their full scope. Today, decades later, many of these underground structures remain partially unexplored. Their corridors still echo with the silence of abandonment. Rusted rails, collapsed ceilings, ventilation shafts, and unfinished concrete halls give the impression that workers simply vanished mid-task, which in many cases they did. Entering these underground sites remains dangerous. Allied bombers targeted them relentlessly, using specialized bunker-busting bombs, destabilizing entire mountain faces. Cave-ins, toxic gases, unexploded ordnance, and structural decay make exploration a calculated risk even now. These tunnels were not merely shelters. They were meant to house power, industry, weapons, leadership, and ultimately survival. In Obersalzberg, high in the Bavarian Alps, the Nazi leadership attempted to create the ultimate bomb-proof refuge for Adolf Hitler. This region was already symbolic. It housed the Berghof, Hitler's alpine residence, where major political and military decisions had been made long before the war turned against Germany. As Allied bombing intensified, Obersalzberg was transformed into a fortified underground complex. Beneath the picturesque mountain slopes, a vast system of tunnels and bunkers was excavated, nearly 6 kilometers in length, with even more ambitious expansions planned. The Allies feared that Hitler and his inner circle might retreat here, sealing themselves underground in a last stand. The complex was designed to be entirely self-sufficient: independent water systems, air filtration resistant to poison gas, emergency generators, and stockpiles of food sufficient for a prolonged siege. Construction continued relentlessly. Workers labored in 3 shifts, day and night, until just weeks before Germany's collapse. Oversight of the project was entrusted to Martin Bormann, Hitler's powerful and deeply feared private secretary. Bormann did not merely build shelters, he built comfort underground. His personal family bunker included warm-toned lighting, lowered light switches so his children could reach them, and living quarters that resembled a functional home rather than a military installation. Only meters from Hitler's Berghof, gigantic halls were carved out of the rock. These spaces were intended as ammunition depots and barracks for approximately 400 SS soldiers, the nucleus of a future Alpine fortress. But in April 1945, Allied bombers struck Obersalzberg with devastating force. The Berghof was reduced to ruins, rendered completely uninhabitable. What remained were the catacombs beneath it. When American troops arrived, they confiscated Hitler's private library, his music collection, and paintings stored underground. The Führer bunker itself, complete with a bathroom and a bathtub insisted on Eva Braun's insistence, was finished and ready for occupation, yet it would never serve its purpose. American forces removed the furnishings. What remained was gradually looted by tourists and souvenir hunters, stripping the bunker of its last traces of daily life. Even Obersalzberg paled in comparison to what lay hidden in Lower Silesia. Deep within the mountain ridges near present-day Glushitsa, an underground empire was taking shape under conditions of extreme secrecy. Codenamed Riese, meaning giant, this project represented one of the most ambitious and least understood construction efforts of the Third Reich. By late 1943, Hitler no longer trusted his primary headquarters, the Wolfslair.
Air superiority was slipping away, and the Führer demanded something unprecedented: an underground city, bomb-proof, vast enough to house 20,000 people. The cost was staggering, approximately 130 million Reichsmarks, but the real price was paid in human lives. An estimated 40,000 forced laborers were used, many drawn from the Gross-Rosen concentration camp system. Around 13 of them, largely Jewish prisoners transferred from Auschwitz, were housed in advance camps near the construction sites. They worked 10 to 12 hours a day in temperatures hovering around 8 degrees Celsius. Malnutrition, exhaustion, disease, and brutality were constant. Approximately half of them did not survive. Despite this immense effort, only a fraction of the project was completed. Perhaps 1/8 of the planned tunnel systems were fully reinforced with concrete. Yet the scale of ambition is undeniable. Gigantic underground halls were designed to house factories producing the so-called Wunderwaffen, miracle weapons intended to reverse Germany's fortunes. Jet aircraft, advanced rockets, and experimental armaments were all envisioned. But when the Soviets captured Lower Silesia, they found something haunting. The construction sites were abandoned almost mid-moment. Shovels lay where they had been dropped. Dump trucks stood loaded with debris. It looked as if the workers had simply stepped out for lunch and never returned. The original blueprints vanished. Whether destroyed, stolen, or hidden remains unknown. This obsession with subterranean survival was not limited to remote mountains. In Dortmund, after early Allied air raids exposed the vulnerability of civilian populations, authorities began digging an enormous tunnel network beneath the city. Designed to shelter up to 80,000 people, these tunnels descended as deep as 16 meters below ground. 5 kilometers were completed, but they were never used. Berlin, meanwhile, endured near-daily bombardment. Nazi propaganda insisted on resilience, but reality was harsher. Underground shelters integrated into subway stations became scenes of terror rather than safety. On February 3, 1945, the heaviest air raid of the war struck the capital. Thousands were killed, hundreds of thousands were left homeless. Panic swept through underground shelters as shockwaves traveled through the tunnels themselves. Another relic of Nazi megalomania lies beneath Berlin's Tiergarten, an unfinished street tunnel, part of Hitler's grandiose plans for a new world capital named Germania. During the war, civilians used it as an air raid shelter. Plans existed to convert parts of it into bomb-proof armament factories, continuing production underground as cities burned above. As the Reich collapsed, its leadership retreated deeper underground. Albert Speer, Minister of Armaments, oversaw the conversion of Fürstenstein Castle into another secret Führer residence. An elevator would carry Hitler 50 meters down into the mountain, providing over 3,000 square meters of protected space for his inner circle. But Hitler never went there. His final refuge was Berlin. Rokas Misch, a member of Hitler's personal escort, witnessed the final days inside the Chancellor bunker. By late April 1945, Hitler was waiting for a miracle that never came. Death was delayed. April 22nd passed, then the 30th. On the afternoon of April 30th, Hitler and Eva Braun, newly married, withdrew into their underground quarters. Silence filled the bunker. When the door opened, Misch saw Hitler collapsed beside the sofa, Eva Braun beside him, her knees drawn up. The following day, Joseph Goebbels briefly assumed leadership. Then he and his wife Magda killed their children before committing suicide themselves. Magda justified the act chillingly. A world without National Socialism, she said, was not worth living in. While Nazi leadership hid underground, the outcome of the war was already sealed elsewhere, in factories and laboratories. Germany's chemical giant IG Farben believed firmly in its own superiority. Under Dr. Heinrich Hollmann, penicillin was dismissed as a laboratory curiosity. This was a catastrophic miscalculation. In the United States, an unprecedented collaboration between government, universities, and private industry transformed penicillin into a mass-produced weapon of survival. Production exploded from virtually nothing to 650 billion units per month. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, a moldy cantaloupe melon in Peoria, Illinois. The strain of fungus it contained produced 200 times more penicillin than Fleming's original discovery. The results were staggering. Mortality from infected wounds dropped from 18% in World War I to less than 1% after 1943. Germany tried to replicate the process. Too late, too fragmented, too secretive. By early 1945, German medical reports admitted the truth. American soldiers carried penicillin in their own kits. German soldiers died from treatable infections. Even German surgeons witnessed the imbalance firsthand. After the Reich's collapse, the Allies uncovered more hidden remnants. In Merkers, deep in a salt mine, American troops discovered vast reserves of gold, currency, and priceless arts, the financial backbone of the Reich, hidden from destruction. They also acquired something darker: data from horrific human experiments conducted in concentration camps, hypothermia, high-altitude testing, infectious diseases, poison gas. Though obtained through unimaginable cruelty, some data was scientifically valid and cited for decades, often without acknowledgement of its origins. This led eventually to modern bioethics and the Nuremberg Code. The tunnels remain, silent witnesses to a regime that believed it could outlast reality itself by retreating underground. Concrete and steel could not save it. History buried these worlds, but never erased them.